Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We're out here with Arwen today, and today I wanted to talk about feeders, troughs, and buckets for food and water. Shoufax is here, and Tequila's here too. But I wanted to talk about feeders, troughs, buckets. So, clean water and fresh food is required at all times for your critters. And yes, there's a pumpkin. They've been munching on a pumpkin. Wrong time of year for pumpkins, but we still had a pumpkin. Don't ask. So, she's drinking her water right now out of a bucket. But they need clean water and fresh food at all times. They need cool water in the summer and water that's not frozen in the winter. So for water, you have a couple of different options. You can use buckets or a trough. Whatever you use, you want to make sure your critters can reach to the bottom of it. Okay, so you don't want to use buckets or troughs that are so high that the goat can't reach over the trough or bucket and drink to the bottom of the bucket. Because if they can't reach the water in the bottom of the bucket or the trough, what's going to happen is they're going to end up getting into the trough or bucket, and that sucks for them. Okay? Sucks to be them, because then they fall in the trough, and then they get wet, and especially if it's cold out, it's going to suck. Yeah, we're going to nap. So with your water buckets, make sure that they can reach to the bottom. Also make sure you have multiples. Like we have a couple of buckets in here. We got a couple of buckets in here. So we have multiple water sources, because goats are a little bit nasty. I love Yarwin, but goats are a little nasty. And they have this habit of pooping in their water. And it's not good. It's not fun. But they do it. So if you have multiple sources of water, not necessarily all next to each other, so you don't want to line like 5 buckets up right here. You want to separate them, move them around a little bit. Because then if Arwen or Shadowfax poops in one of these waters, then they still have the other waters, so you don't have to constantly be out here like, is this water clean? Right? You can move around. You don't have to monitor your water 100% of the day. But you do want to replace that water, especially in the summer, at least twice a day. In winter, you probably want to replace it like 4 times a day. You want to make sure that your water's not frozen and that it is fairly fresh. And you don't want it grimy. You want waterers that you can keep clean easily. So we use primarily buckets. I don't really love troughs because buckets are easier to clean, easier to carry, and easier to have like 10 of and just switch them in and out, especially in the wintertime. There's chickens under there. We have a broody chicken under there who, by the way, is going to hatch eggs. And I don't even know whose eggs she's got. Doesn't matter. It's not the point. So water you want to use, you either buckets or troughs, whatever works best for you. I don't like troughs. They are heavy, they're annoying, they're difficult to keep clean because they're so big. It's so much easier to use buckets, but if you prefer troughs, hey, use troughs. Use whatever works best for you. In the winter, you do need to keep the water thawed. So depending on where you live, it may not be an issue. Yeah, is that your goat? It may not be an issue depending on where you live. So if you live, guys gonna tussle? Yeah, you like tussling with Tequila? You like to tussle with Tequila. Good girl. Anyway, that's funny. And more tussling? Yeah. Arwen rules. Okay, Arwen. Alright, whatever. That works. Anyway, you do need to keep the water thawed if you live in a cold area like we do, like it's really cold here. You can use like submersible heaters and stuff. We just literally change the water 4 times a day. Every time someone comes out, we just bring a new bucket of water and switch it with a frozen one because it's really cold here. So we're talking like minus 40 is normal and below that is not abnormal. It's cold here. Yeah, is that your pony? So it's really cold here. Okay, so it's really important that we keep our waters thawed. So we've tried heaters. A lot of them don't work when it's this cold, as cold as it is here. Okay, a lot of them simply don't work when it's this cold. So what we do a lot of is just switching up the waters. But if heaters or a heated dog bowl works for you, then that's fine. Tequila's off doing a thing. She's off guarding. She's just doing her guarding thing. So you can use water heaters if they work for you. If they don't work for you, that's fine too. It's easy enough just to change out water buckets, which is what we do. So do whatever you need to do to keep your goats water thawed in the winter if that's an issue in your climate. It may not be. I mean, if you don't have that kind of problem in your climate, then it's a non-issue, right? If you live in Florida, your water's not freezing anyway. So just do what you have to do to keep it free of ice most of the time. So feed. You're going to have 2 types of feed for your goat. We'll talk more about what to feed your goat in a different video. But what kind of feeders do you need? Depends. You're probably feeding hay and then some kind of actual feed. And that's fine. That's exactly what you should be feeding. Hay, you're either going to want some kind of hay feeder. We use hay bags. This hay bag's empty. The one in the barn still has hay in it. But this one is currently empty because I ate it all. So hay bags I like because goats are less likely to get stuck in them. And they're easy to fill. They're easy to drag around. They're easy to stuff. I really like hay bags. Not everybody does. Some people prefer... hi. You okay? She okay, buddy? Yeah? She's okay? Oh, we're going to protect her while she's feeling a little... She did a little mini faint. Good boy. She did a little mini faint. So, we're good. Yeah. But she did a little bit of a mini faint, and he's protecting her now because that's his job. He's a good boy. Yeah, you're a good boy. Anyway, so we use hay bags, but you can use hay feeders. You can use, they make these corner hay feeders that are really good. You can make something yourself. You don't have to buy something. You can make something to feed hay as long, yes, she's good. As long as the feeder holds the hay and keeps the goat out of the hay, because you don't want the goat soiling or trampling their feed. So whether it's hay or feed, goats won't eat it if it's been all trampled or if it's been peed on. So, and they shouldn't eat it if it's been peed on because that's gross. So you just want to make sure that you have your feed in a way that is not able to be soiled. So keep your hay bags, kind of lift them off the ground. You can use feed pans for your feed, keep them off the ground. You don't want your goats eating directly off the ground because they're kind of prone to diseases and parasites. Hi, buddy. Yes, a smoochie. Yeah, you have boogers in your eyes. Let's clean the boogers. Good boy. Yeah, got boogers. Sometimes ponies get boogers in their eyes, just like humans. So do goats. Eye boogers happen. Anyway, you're filthy. Yeah. Anyway, so you just want to not feed directly on the ground. So we use rubber feed pans a lot. You've probably seen them all over the place because we use them for like water for the rabbits, and we use rubber feed pans a lot. Big tired goat. So we use a lot of feed pans. They work really well. You can use, some people use like a bench. They just put the feed on a flat bench and the goats just eat the feed off of that. That's fine. Just keep it off the ground. So whatever you have, you can use wall-mounted feeders. I just put it in a feed pan and then take the feed pans away when they're done. And then we just use hay bags for the hay. You know, we stuff our couple of bags full of their ration for the morning and the evening. And so they just have access to that. They do need hay and feed. She's making a mess. Yeah, and you're a good boy. Yeah, everybody's good. Anyway, so that's how you need to make sure your goats are fed. Keep the feed off the ground. Keep their hay contained, because if they can walk on it, they will pee on it. One little warning about feeders: you want to make sure your goat's head can't get stuck, especially if they have horns. Now, Arwen doesn't have horns, so we have less of a problem because she doesn't have horns. But if your goat has horns, it's really easy for them to get their heads stuck. Okay? So you just want to make sure whatever feeder you use, they can't get their horns stuck, because being stuck is not fun for them and can actually be very dangerous. So just whether you build the feeder or buy the feeder, make sure they can't get their horns stuck if you have goats with horns. Obviously, we do not currently have a goat with horns, but I have had goats with horns in the past, most notably Gandalf and Lily. But it's okay if your goat doesn't have horns, you don't have to worry about that. So use a feeder that works for you. Again, you can use something that you make or use something that you buy. You can use a bench. Sometimes we literally just pour the feed on this log here. As long as it's off the ground and they're not eating their own poop or someone else's poop. And as long as the feed is clean and not soiled, you're fine. They usually eat their feed pretty quick. So it's just the hay you have to really worry about keeping unsoiled, because if they do pee on their hay, they won't eat it. And they tend to waste a lot. So try to find a hay management system that doesn't waste a ton, because hay can be expensive and it's not a lot of fun to have to constantly buy new hay. Anyway, one final thing, keep your feed away from your goats, because if your goat gets into an entire bag of feed, that's not good. Bloat is a real thing and it's deadly to goats. If they sit there and eat an entire bag of feed, you might not be able to save them. So just kind of make sure your feed is locked away where they can't get it, in goat-proof containers or in a goat-proof feed room or whatever, as long as it is indeed goat-proof and you don't have to worry about your goat getting into that entire bag of feed and ending up sick. It's not good. Hi, sweetie. Anyway, that is about it for today. Look into what kind of feeders you want to use and decide whether you want to use buckets or troughs for water. Preferably do that before you get your goat. That's about it for us here today at Andersen Acres. We'll see you tomorrow.